So I'm going to start the presentation of the advanced landed cost enhancement by entering a transaction, a landed cost transaction. So a landed cost transaction is generated to enter items that would be received in a container. Basically, you have the ability to enter products from multiple vendors or one vendor, and you will create this transaction either when you're planning what products should be placed in a container, or when you get the vessel's bill of lading. What the system does, it would let you, as you receive invoices for different landed cost expenses, you could enter the information in here for those invoices, and the system would allocate the cost to different line items that you've entered based on the landed cost method defined. It's the cost allocation method defined for each landed cost type. In addition, we give you the ability to receive the inventory into an in-transit warehouse if your FOB is foreign docked and you want to show the product in your inventory. So here are some information that is entered in the system, and the nice thing about it is we add drill downs from different inquiry screens, purchase order, inventory, so salespeople or customer service employees would have access to this information about the dates and costs, and or accounting people would have access to information about when the payment is due and so forth. So here we're going to select the status. The status are user defined, so you can select as many status, enter as many status as you want to, and change them to track the progress of the container. So we'll enter some information: expected departure. We'll enter that, expected arrival, actual departure. So of course, the users will come back and enter this information in the system as as this. Okay. So once you enter the dates, then you start entering the line items. You can select a purchase order. Now, since we have a vendor number, enter system is showing us the vendor, and we can select what items are loading. Now I can receive a complete purchase order. I can receive specific lines of a purchase order, or I can receive partial quantities of a purchase order. In this example, it's showing me that the two items that we had, we ship complete, so it loaded them in here. Now the system has calculated duty amount. We link custom classification codes to inventory items, and the system, based on that, will calculate a duty and will basically load them here as a starting point. Of course, you can change them. Notice that there are additional fields that you could enter: import bill of lading number, import entry number, so a letter of credit number, and so forth, to track information about this container. Again, I could enter multiple purchase orders. I can continue with purchase orders. Here, if I come to the totals, here I'm entering my duty amount. So the system does calculate a duty based on the classification codes, but you're able to enter the once you do receive the actual invoice for the duty, you can enter the amount in here, and the system will basically post you over and show the unallocated. It has a GL number, and it would know that. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to enter my other landed costs. Now, this thing could be done at this time, or they could be done at a later time. One of the things that the system does optionally, it asks you if you enter, if the purchase order had a request date and there's an expected arrival date, the system will ask if you want to update those. So these are additional information that is kept in the system. Here are some landed costs. As I've entered my landed cost type, I checked a box which basically lets the system know that those are the ones that I want to auto load in my landed cost transaction. So that's what I've done for broker and insurance. So I can enter the amount. So any information I entered here, system would use, and it would create an accounts payable invoice. So this program also handles the creation of the accounts payable invoices for me for the for the landed cost receipt. So far, we've actually entered some landed cost types, and the system calculated the duty, and now I can save this landed cost transaction 9. And if the real downs are available from different purchase order entries, skin inventory inquiry streams to this program to see the status of. Then the next thing I could do at some point when I want to receive the product into an in-transit warehouse, I can run a program in transit register, and the system would basically receive this product into an in-transit warehouse. Now, one of the things about the in-transit warehouse is that you have the ability to define in-transit warehouse by vendor. So if you have some vendors from different countries, you can define those, and the system would basically know that by looking at the in-transit warehouse, we would know that where the product is. So if I click on register, now the system would update this and put the quantities from quantity to in transit. And if I go into my inventory maintenance program, I will see that that product is received in the in transit warehouse. Okay. So we have quantity of 39 was received in the transit warehouse. One of the things we do then, as part of the advanced landed cost enhancement, we allow you to do a container level receiving. That's called tally entry. So you could go in as products are received, enter the container number, and either receive it fully or just enter the quantities. So here, the folks in the warehouse can open the container and just enter what they've received of each item, and the system then will let us at the landed cost entry transaction import those quantities in. So I have the ability to come to the lines tab and import my tally quantities. So then it would ask me if you wanted to do that, and any quantity that was entered here there would be received. So far we've entered our items, what items from what purchase orders are going to be loaded. Again, you can have partial quantities of a line item, specific lines. But what happens is once I've done my tally entry as well, then I can create my receipt of invoice or receipt of good transactions. So here I'm going to tell it that now I've received this, and the system would go ahead and generate a receipt of good transactions, one per each PO that was in there. It would also generate the accounts payable invoices for me. So it's a very straightforward process where the system allows you to enter invoices as you receive. You no longer have to put them aside. The system allows you to enter a custom classification code in the system and link those to the inventory items, so you'll be able to automatically, natural stone electronics glassware, they're linked to inventory items, and the system basically would calculate your landed cost transaction based on those. So and the container status, we talked about container status maintenance. This is where you enter all the different statuses that are available to you for processing the transactions. With this, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to show you our container tracking advanced landed cost enhancement.